Most interviews begin with a question, but one of the most famous podcast interviews ever recorded begins with a drive across San Francisco. Before Robin Williams even speaks, Marc Maron spends 3 minutes doing something almost no podcast has ever done. He builds tension.
Let's do this. I'm in a car. I'm in San Francisco. I'm driving down Lombard Street towards the Golden Gate Bridge. As you know, I lived here for a couple years, but that's lost time. I have no idea what happened. I remember had coffee, I smoked a lot of pot, did a lot of comedy, and entrenched myself in a relationship that ultimately didn't work out. But that's neither here nor there. It's a beautiful day. It's clear. I'm heading towards the Golden Gate Bridge.
Instead of introducing the guest right away, Maron begins by describing where he is. He is driving through San Francisco on his way to record an interview. Then Maron does something even more interesting. He admits something uncomfortable. He says that early in his career, he judged Robin Williams.
It's a beautiful day. It's clear. I'm heading towards the Golden Gate Bridge. I have a lot of memories here, but as I said before, they're foggy, but I always liked the climate. It's gorgeous. I'm driving to Robin Williams' house to interview him. Now, you guys know, he's probably on the fame scale the biggest interview I've done. I've come in contact with him a few times over the years. We've had a few conversations. I get along with him. He's a very sweet guy when he sits down and talks. It's very disarming. And it's one of those situations where I have to think about myself. One of those situations. Is there any other kind of situation, Mark? I am guilty of, over the years, dismissing Robin Williams in the sense of I've heard things about him. He stole jokes. I don't know.
He had opinions about his comedy and about the energy Williams brought to the stage. That admission is incredibly important because in storytelling, vulnerability creates tension.
But the bottom line is, as I get older, I realize this is a man that had the career that really any comic wants. I mean, if you want to look in retrospective, if you want to judge retroactively or try to claim that your judgment isn't bitter, then you can do that. But the bottom line is this guy was the biggest movie star in the world for a long time.
By admitting that he misunderstood Williams, Maron lowers his own status in the conversation. But at the same time, he raises the stakes of the interview. Now the audience is curious. What happens when someone sits down with a legend they once misunderstood?
He, started as a comic, went to acting school, fine. But the truth of the matter is, by the time he was in his late 20s, 25, 26, 27, whatever that was, he was on a television show that was very popular. And then he parlayed that into an acting career in movies, both serious and comic, which not many people do. And he sustained that career for upwards of 30 years.
Maron is driving through San Francisco preparing himself mentally for the conversation. The drive becomes a metaphor for the moment he's about to enter. Because before Robin Williams even arrives in the room, the audience already understands the weight of this meeting.
There's really no way you can dismiss all of it. And the truth of the matter is that no matter how cynical I may be, resentment plays a part in most of my judgments. And that if I'm going to belittle anyone's career, belittle anyone's talent, 90% of the time, if they're popular, it's driven by resentment or my own self-pity. That's just a reality. I don't like to admit it, but it's true.
Maron has framed the guest. He has acknowledged the legacy. He has allowed us to feel his own uncertainty. But Marc Maron begins with something much stronger: internal conflict. He lets the audience experience his hesitation. He allows the listener to sit inside the moment with him before the interview begins. By the time Robin Williams finally enters the conversation, the audience is already invested.
But the few times I've talked to Robin, he's been incredibly sweet and disarming, and then all of a sudden you're just filled with Robin. You're sitting there and he's talking at you, and you're just excited to have that small an audience with this guy. I have no idea how it's going to go, but I'm a little nervous. Maybe I should look at it that way. Maybe, there's the Golden Gate Bridge. There's no way you can't see that thing from where I am right now and not think it's one of the greatest cities in the world. It's a fucking Golden Gate Bridge. And I'm about to be on it. Driving, not walking sadly to the middle with other intentions. That's a good sign.
This is not just another interview. It feels like an encounter. And that is the craft of the conversation. The first 3 minutes of this episode shows that sometimes the most important part of an interview happens before the interview even begins. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share.